I can be a renowned divine doctor, an expert in the field of treasure appreciation, and even a master who dominates the world. Because I have a life simulator, I can simulate infinitely. Chapter 1. This is not love. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Come, take a look at the camera and record that our baby has just recovered from a serious illness. Yi Hao held his phone and wanted to record this beautiful moment for his girlfriend. Beside Yi Hao stood a slender and symmetrical girl with a pointed nose, rosy thin lips, slender and curly eyelashes, and a pair of bright eyes. She is Qianqian. He is also Yi Hao's fiancé Ae. We have already been discharged from the hospital. In the past few days, let's hurry up and have our wedding. Are you happy? At this point, Yi Hao noticed that Qianqian's unhappiness had been written all over her face. I have something to tell you, Qianqian said with a stern expression. You say. Yi Hao had a smile on his face, and he naively wondered if he had offended Qianqian somewhere. Do we have time to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get married and divorced? Yi Hao was taken aback for a moment, then laughed and said, Are you teasing me again? Don't make such jokes. When I was suffering from this serious illness, you appeared when I was most helpless, and that's when I accepted you. But now when I think about it, it's not love at all. Qianqian's tone was calm, I only have gratitude for you. Yi Hao was a bit panicked. In order to treat Qianqian's illness, he sold his house and car. If he had only brought the beautiful woman back, it would have been fine. However, the result, what do you think love is? Yi Hao's face turned black. I've never seen someone cross a river and demolish a bridge like this before. Oh, anyway, my ex-boyfriend came back to find me. I think he and I are the real love, Qianqian said solemnly, teasing Yi Hao-san. Your ex-boyfriend? Yi Haoduan was furious. When you had this illness, your ex-boyfriend left and I sold a car and a house to treat your illness. I worked tirelessly by your side for over a year, but now you tell me that you and him are the ones in love. Some things are not measured that way, Qianqian said anxiously, why did you need to obtain a certificate from me before? At that time, I thought I couldn't cure it, and you happened to appear, so I'll repay you. Yi Hao was about to say something, but a piercing voice rang in his ear. Baby, you're here. Yi Hao followed the voice and saw that it was Qianqian's ex-boyfriend Zhuang Rui. I called you a few times, but I didn't answer the phone, Zhuang Rui said, picking up the suitcase from Qianqian's hand. I didn't hear you, dear, Qianqian exclaimed coquettishly. Let's go then, I've already parked the car. Well, let's go. Yi Hao watched as the two of them chatted as if there was no one around. They were all feeling unwell. He stopped Qianqian's way and said, Are you just going with him like this? So what else are you going to do? Qianqian was unhappy. How can this guy stick to himself like a dog's skin ointment? Brother, you're quite infatuated. Can you be more realistic? Zhuang Rui looked at Yi Hao with a look that was like looking at silly Bai. Qianqian and I are the kind of love, you know. After a pause, he seemed to think of something again. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for spending all your money treating my baby and taking care of my baby like a nanny for over a year. As for you, hurry up and divorce us. When we get married, I'll call you to have a wedding banquet. Tell him something else, let's go. Qianqian affectionately pulled Zhuang Rui's arm, while her gaze at Yi Hao was filled with strong disgust. Yi Hao's heart seemed to have been fiercely stabbed. He crouched down in pain, covering his heart. And as time goes by, this pain is gradually intensifying. He took out his phone to make a call, but one did not grab onto the phone and it fell off. Congratulations to the host for activating the infinite simulation system of life. Just as his consciousness was about to dissipate, a cold voice sounded in his ears. Life Infinite Simulation System. Yi Hao was completely confused. He really wants to say what this is. Is the host willing to use a life simulation once? Willing. This simulation will consume 1 Chinese coin, please confirm with the host. A Chinese coin. Yi Hao was stunned when he heard this, I confirm. Although Yi Hao spent a lot of money on treating Li Qianqian's illness, he still had several thousand yuan on him. The host begins a life simulation. The host was deceived by his fiancée Li Qianqian and determined to seek revenge. The host took out a loan to start a business at the age of 25, but failed a year later and owed the bank 1.2 million. At the age of 26, the host pieced together everything to start a new business, but failed again 2 years later. The disheartened host went to work diligently at a company and died suddenly at the age of 39 while working overtime. Yi Hao felt a painful sensation when he saw the system simulate his life experience. What if we agreed to retaliate well against Li Qianqian? What is the result? Not to mention 2 failed startups, but ended up working overtime and dying suddenly. Firstly, choose your life experience at the age of 39. Secondly, choose wealth at the age of 39. After pondering for a while, Yi Hao asked the system, can I perform a second simulation? You can do it any time. Is it still a Chinese coin for the second simulation? Double it. Upon hearing this, Yi Hao's mouth twitched. If you keep doubling, you can't use it casually, because geometric doubling won't take long to reach a terrifying number. I want my life experience at the age of 39. After careful consideration, Yi Hao thought it would be better to have a life experience at the age of 39. Because he feels that whether he can repay the loan at the age of 39 after 2 failed entrepreneurial attempts is a question. Quickly, a large number of memories flooded into his mind. It took a long time for Yi Hao to gradually deplete his memories of the past decade. I need to conduct a second simulation, Yi Hao said hastily. This simulation will consume 2 huaxia coins. Please confirm with the host. I confirm, Yi Hao said excitedly. The host begins a life simulation. At the age of 25, the host entered an internet company through introduction. At the age of 27, the host became a senior executive of the company based on some past experiences. At the age of 35, the host became a vice president of the company. At the age of 39, the host was laid off by the company and was hit and killed by a runaway truck while carrying his own salute across the road. When Yi Hao saw the last experience, he was completely stunned. What is the situation? This life simulation, I worked diligently and ended up failing at the age of 39. Firstly, does the host choose their life experience at the age of 39? Secondly, the host chooses wealth at the age of 39. This time, Yi Hao did not hesitate to choose the second option. At that moment, Yi Hao's phone received a text message. 5,800,000.88 huaxia coins were deposited into the bank account. Chapter 2. Father's Accident. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking at the balance of his bank card, Yi Hao's eyes flashed with a hint of brilliance. Now he finally has some capital. Li Qianqian, I must make you pay the price. Yi Hao swore to retaliate. He still remembers being shocked at first sight when he saw Li Qianqian in his freshman year, but after looking for 4 years, Li Qianqian remained unmoved. Just when he thought there was no hope in his life, Li Qianqian found him with a diagnosis book. Li Qianqian said that as long as Yi Hao treats her, she will marry him. Yi Hao thought it was his sincerity that moved the heavens, so he agreed without hesitation. When I went to the hospital for treatment, I found out that Li Qianqian had a genetic defect, and it would take at least several million to get treatment. Therefore, Yi Hao sold the house his parents had worked hard all his life to buy him, and later when the money was not enough, he also sold the car his sister had bought for him. But who would have thought that Li Qianqian was just looking for a scapegoat? Revenge, yes, revenge. Yi Hao immediately summoned the system. I want to do a life simulation. This simulation will consume 4 Huaxia coins. Please confirm with the host. Confirm. The host begins a life simulation. At the age of 25, the host released a short video of Qianqian at her wedding, but her legs were secretly broken by the groom Zhuang Rui and thrown into the sewer. After the host recovered from the injury, someone broke Zhuang Rui's legs, but he was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. When the host came out at the age of 29, they found that Qianqian had already moved. So the host searched the world for Qianqian for a whole 10 years but couldn't find her. In the end, they ended up feeling depressed. Yi Hao's face became solemn when he saw this simulation. The theme of his simulation this time is revenge. Therefore, he will constantly target Qianqian throughout his life. But he also realized that he had simplified things. For example, if Zhuang Rui had someone break his legs, Zhuang Rui would be fine. But he did so and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. He realized that his social relationships were still not good. Firstly, the host chooses their life experience at the age of 39. Secondly, the host chooses wealth at the age of 39. After some thought, Yi Hao chose his life experience at the age of 39. These years of experience are also a wake-up call for him, which can ensure that he will avoid taking some detours in the future. Just then his phone rang. It was his sister calling. "Where are you?" "I'm at the 3rd hospital," Yi Hao thought to himself as he listened to his sister's anxious voice. "Hurry up to the central hospital, our dad has an accident." Yi Hao quickly arrived at the intersection to wait for a taxi. He waited for half an hour without waiting, which made him realize how important a car is. Fortunately, after waiting for a few more minutes, I finally arrived. "Master, Central Hospital." In the hospital lobby, Yi Yume constantly begged the nurse to perform surgery on her father. "It's not that our hospital doesn't perform surgery on your father, it's just that the operating room is already fully booked." The nurse was also very helpless about this. "But there was a patient behind us just now, why is his surgery ahead of us?" Yi Yume glared at the nurse, wanting an explanation. "His condition is more serious than your father's," the nurse could only use this excuse to evade. "He just injured his leg, and my father's chest was pierced by steel bars." Yi Yume got angry and grabbed the nurse's collar. "Sister, the family of that person used the relationship with the vice dean, and that's why," the nurse said as she saw Yi Yume's fiery gaze. "Sister, I'm just a worker. Can you please help me?" "My father's pulse is almost gone," Yi Yume asked with red eyes. The nurse's lips wriggled as she wanted to say something, but in the end she remained silent. At that moment, Yi Hao arrived. "Sister, are you?" Yi Yume finally let go of the nurse, tears filling her eyes. "Our dad's construction site collapsed, and several inspection leaders and workers were involved," Yi Yume said as tears streamed down her face. "Although our dad's injuries were ultimately severe, they first rescued the leaders." Yi Hao squatted by the hospital bed. Father closed his eyes tightly. Even if Yi Hao called out softly, he didn't respond. "Your hospital is risking lives." Yi Hao became anxious. "Hurry up and arrange surgery for my father." He could tell that his father's situation was very critical. "The emergency room is already full, we are trying our best to arrange it." "Don't be too anxious," the nurse could only comfort her. At this moment, my father suddenly gasped heavily, and his face became very ugly. The nurse immediately noticed that the patient's respiratory tract was blocked by fresh blood, and at this point, the throat should be decisively cut open to ensure the patient's breathing. But she's just a nurse. She does not have a medical qualification certificate. "Where are the doctors in your hospital?" Yi Hao shouted at the nurse. The nurse hurriedly left. As a result, even waiting left and right couldn't wait for the nurse. Seeing his father about to die, Yi Hao suddenly remembered the life simulation system. "I want a life simulation. This simulation will consume 8 Chinese coins. Please confirm with the host. Confirm. At the age of 25, the host watched helplessly as his father died from delay in the hospital. After being hit by this, he decided to learn medical knowledge. The host obtained a physician qualification certificate at the age of 30. At the age of 38, the host obtained the title of deputy chief physician. At this time, the host realized that his father's condition was very dangerous at the time and his current medical level was unable to treat him. Therefore, at the age of 39, the host resigned from his job at the hospital and went to visit the master of traditional Chinese medicine, Huang Wenxuan. Huang Wenxuan saw at a glance that his dead vein had appeared and asked him to go back to prepare for the aftermath. 3 days later, the host died of a heart attack. Seeing this, Yi Hao finally realized something. The first 3 simulations were all accidents at the age of 39, and he thought it was a coincidence. It wasn't until Huang Wenxuan told him that his death line had appeared at 39 that he realized he could only live to be 39 years old. Firstly, the host chooses their life experience at the age of 39. Secondly, the host chooses wealth at the age of 39. Yi Hao chose the first option, and immediately countless Western medical knowledge and memories flooded into his mind. That is to say, in an instant, he became an outstanding deputy chief physician. At this moment, he hastily checked his father's condition. After a brief examination, he realized that even pushing it to the operating room now was useless. Father has missed the best opportunity for rescue. Damn it. Yi Hao was angry at those guys for cutting in line, but at the same time, he restarted his life simulation. Father doesn't have much time left. I want to do a life simulation. This simulation requires a consumption of 16 Chinese coins, please confirm. Confirm. Chapter 3. I became a divine doctor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the age of 25, the host watched helplessly as his father died from delay in the hospital. After being hit by this, he decided to learn medical knowledge. Huang Wenxuan, one of the top 10 traditional Chinese medicine practitioners in China, wanted to learn Chinese medicine. However, Huang Wenxuan refused due to the host's age and insisted on following him tirelessly. Finally, at the age of 30, he moved Master Huang Wenxuan. Traditional Chinese medicine emphasizes natural talent, and although the host's qualifications are not good, they delve deeply into it. After studying for 9 years, they eventually achieve small success. Master Huang Wenxuan noticed that the host's dead pulse had already appeared, and used precious Chinese medicine to prolong his life. At the age of 42, the host died suddenly while sleeping. Yi Hao's face showed a surprised expression when he saw this. Finally, I didn't die at the age of 39. This made him realize that fate can also be broken. Firstly, the host chooses their life experience at the age of 42. Secondly, the host chooses wealth at the age of 42. Without hesitation, Yi Hao chose his life experience at the age of 42, and countless traditional Chinese medicine knowledge immediately entered his mind. Not enough, not enough. Yi Hao was well aware that his knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine was not enough to save his dying father. After all, he is only an ordinary traditional Chinese medicine physician now. I want to conduct a life simulation. Yi Hao summoned the system again. This simulation requires 32 huaxia coins to be consumed. Please confirm. Confirm. When the host was 25 years old, he went to visit Master Huang Wenxuan to learn traditional Chinese medicine. Master Huang Wenxuan took the school entrance examination and was admitted to his family. The next time, the host worked hard to study traditional Chinese medicine. The host obtained the title of attending physician at the age of 30 and the title of deputy chief physician at the age of 39. Master Huang Wenxuan used precious medicinal herbs to extend the host's lifespan by 3 plants. The host died suddenly in sleep at the age of 42. Yi Hao was taken aback and said, "Are you still 42 years old?" Firstly, the host chooses their life experience at the age of 42. Secondly, the host chooses wealth at the age of 42. Yi Hao chose his life experience at the age of 42, and as more knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine entered his mind, he began to examine his father's injuries. When he was a traditional Chinese medicine doctor before, he couldn't understand how serious his father's injury was. But now he is already the deputy chief physician, and he can still achieve general observation and inquiry. After a moment, his face turned ugly. Father's lung lobe was punctured. Originally, this injury was not very serious. But due to continuous blood loss, multiple organs have already failed. His current medical skills still cannot save him. Can we only watch our father die helplessly? Yi Hao's heart was filled with unwillingness. Continue the simulation, Yi Hao's heart roared. This simulation requires 64 huaxia coins, please confirm. Confirm. When the host was 25 years old, he went to visit Master Huang Wenxuan to learn traditional Chinese medicine. Master Huang Wenxuan considered him carefully and then enrolled him in the family. The next time, the host worked hard to study traditional Chinese medicine. At the age of 26, the host obtained the title of traditional Chinese medicine physician. At the age of 28, the host obtained the title of attending physician. At the age of 30, the host obtained the title of deputy chief physician, and at the age of 32, the host obtained the title of chief physician. At this moment, Master Huang Wenxuan told the host that traditional Chinese medicine came from ancient medicine. Although he was revered as one of the 10 great doctors by the world, he only reached the first level of ancient medicine. The state of enlightenment. From then on, the host followed Master Huang Wenxuan to learn ancient medicine. At the age of 39, the host had already achieved some success. Master Huang Wenxuan extended his life with 3 more plants, and after practicing 3 more plants, the host finally developed Taoist true qi. His life was further extended, but only 3 more plants were also extended. Seeing this, Yi Hao's face showed a surprised expression. His lifespan has finally been extended once again. I'm 45 years old. What kind of ghost is Taoist true qi? Firstly, the host chooses their life experience at the age of 45. Secondly, the host chooses wealth at the age of 45. He naturally chose his life experience at the age of 45. With a large amount of memories flooding into his mind, Yi Hao became an apprentice of ancient medicine in a very short period of time. That's right. He has been studying with Huang Wenxuan for 13 years but still hasn't reached his level. Yi Hao knew that this was due to his limited qualifications. But at this point, he also knows what Taoist true qi means. Taoist true qi represents the threshold of ancient medicine. Only by possessing Taoist true qi can one use qi to manipulate needles and perform various acupuncture techniques recorded in ancient medicine. At this moment, Yi Hao glanced at his father and gave him a rough idea of his situation. This is the real way of observing, hearing, and questioning, Yi Hao sighed. Many traditional Chinese medicine practitioners nowadays rely on Western medical films, and as for the technique of looking for qi, it can only be seen in a superficial way. For more complex techniques, they have no choice. I don't know if it's possible to reach the level of teacher Huang Wenxuan again, Yi Hao thought and simulated it again. This simulation requires a consumption of 128 huaxia coins. Please confirm with the host. Confirm. At the age of 25, the host visited Master Huang Wenxuan. After some communication with him, Huang Wenxuan found that the host had already touched the threshold of ancient medicine, so Master Huang Wenxuan took him back to his doorstep. At the age of 35, the host reached the first level of enlightenment in ancient medicine. Huang Wenxuan knew he could no longer teach the host anything, so he took the host to the Medicine King Valley, where Huang Wenxuan came from. The host studied diligently in the Medicine King Valley for 15 years and reached the second stage of enlightenment. 3 months later, the host died suddenly while sleeping. Yi Hao's face was filled with surprise upon seeing this. I'm 50 years old. This time, I didn't even mention the death pulse at the age of 39. It seems that I have the ability to solve the death pulse, but the only regret is that I died at the age of 50. Firstly, the host chooses a 50-year-old life experience. Secondly, the host chooses wealth at the age of 50. Without hesitation, Yi Hao chose his life experience at the age of 50. At this moment, vast memories flooded into his mind again, and at the same time, the Taoist true energy in his body was also surging. In an instant, he became a master of ancient medicine in the middle of the Enlightenment realm. At this moment, when Yi Hao looked at his father again, his injuries were already clear to his chest. "Sister, wait for me here," Yi Hao said as he ran towards the traditional Chinese medicine department. He rushed into a medical room and said, "Lend me your silver needle." Shi Zhongshu looked at Yi Hao in shock and said, "Young man, what do you want a silver needle for?" "Save people." "Saving people." Shi Zhongshu looked at Yi Hao in disbelief. "Young man, to save people, you should go to the emergency department. What are you doing here?" Yi Hao was too lazy to say anything to Shi Zhongshu. He glanced at the clutter on the table and immediately found the bag of the silver needle. He picked up the silver needle bag and rushed towards the outside. "You guy," Shi Zhongshu quickly chased after him when he saw this scene. He didn't hesitate to give up those few silver needles, mainly because he was worried about what Yi Hao would do. Chapter 4 Comes in handy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yi Hao accelerated his speed and rushed to his father's side. At this point, Yi Bingkuan had already reached his deathbed. He wants to race against time. He took out a silver needle and inserted it into his father's Shaohai acupoint. With his fingers gently twirling, Taoist true energy surged into the silver needle, repairing the damaged blood vessels. "What are you doing?" Yi Yume walked over at this moment. "I'm saving our dad," Yi Hao glanced at Yi Yume. "Also, don't let anyone disturb me." "When did you understand medical skills?" Yi Yume looked surprised. "I'll explain to you later," Yi Hao continued to administer the needle as he spoke. During his speech, Yi Hao stabbed the second silver needle in his hand into the Shenmen acupoint. When Shi Zhongshu chased after him panting heavily, he found that Yi Hao had inserted a needle into the patient's Jichuan acupoint. 3 inches and 2 fingers. His eyes showed a hint of brilliance. Very accurate. If it were his words, he would certainly be able to pierce so accurately. The problem is that Yi Hao seems to have easily penetrated it. He has never seen anyone with such needlework. Wait a minute. Why is the frequency of silver needle vibration so fast? This is not normal. In theory, even with the help of external forces, we shouldn't maintain such a fast frequency. Unless he shook his head at the thought of this. Impossible. How old is Yi Hao? Moreover, that is just a legend. As time passed, Yi Bingkuan's breathing gradually calmed down, and at the same time, there was a slight blush on his pale cheeks. Yi Hao finally put away the silver needle. "How's our dad doing?" Yi Yume asked cautiously. "Our dad is fine now," Yi Hao said somewhat humbly. In theory, he shouldn't have consumed so much at his level, but who made him treat the patient as his father? Nervousness is also inevitable. "Give you the silver needle," Yi Hao handed it to Shi Zhongshu beside him. Shi Zhongshu did not go to get the silver needle, but instead checked Yi Bingkuan's pulse, and then an incredible expression appeared on his face. How could it be? His lungs were penetrated, and there must have been massive bleeding in his body, but now his breath is stable and his blood vessels are smooth. This. Shi Zhongshu was completely bewildered. Upon hearing this, Yi Yume's tense body finally relaxed. She still had some doubts about Yi Hao's words, but now that Shi Zhongshu has said so, it seems that her father is really okay. "How did you do it?" Shi Zhongshu looked at Yi Hao in disbelief. What do you think? Does the acupuncture technique you just used seem to be a legendary sealing technique? Shi Zhongshu asked with some uncertainty. I didn't expect you to know the technique of sealing meridians. Yi Hao looked at Shi Zhongshu in surprise. Shi Zhongshu suddenly became excited and said, so. Let's take a step to talk. After some thought, Yi Hao followed Shi Zhongshu to a corner. Are you an ancient physician? Yi Hao didn't think about hiding it. I didn't expect that ancient medicine is not a legend. Shi Zhongshu sighed first before lowering his voice and saying, there is an old lady in the intensive care unit. Many experts have come during this period, but they all say that the old lady will not be able to live for a few days. I'm not interested. Yi Hao's mind is now full of revenge, so he wouldn't just be idle and treat illnesses and save people. Have you ever heard of the Su family? Are you referring to the Su family of Su's real estate group? That's right, the old lady is Su Guanyi's mother. If you save the old lady, the Su family will owe you a favor. Shi Zhongshu blinked at Yi Hao. Think about the Su family's favor. Yi Hao thinks what Shi Zhongshu said makes sense. Let's go. Shi Zhongshu took Yi Hao all the way to the intensive care unit. A middle-aged man wearing a jacket outside the intensive care unit is reprimanding several experts wearing white coats. You are all experts from Kyoto, but you told me that you are powerless. Those experts hang their heads down like grandchildren. There's no way. Who gives Su Guanyi the ability to make money? Mr. Su, I would like to recommend a famous doctor to you. Shi Zhongshu walked over at this moment, with a smile on his face. Who? Su Guanyi asked. It's the young people around me. Shi Zhongshu pointed at Yi Hao. As a result, Su Guanyi's face turned green with anger. Do you think I'm stupid? A young man in his 20s, do you tell me he is a famous doctor? Mr. Su, give me 1 minute, Yi Hao stood up and said. Get lost. Su Guanyi uttered a word. In his opinion, Yi Hao is just a person who bluffs and deceives. Mr. Su, you're not happy in that aspect, right? Yi Hao glanced at Su Guanyi and said. Su Guanyi's face turned pale with iron. Do you want to die? This is an insult for any man. You are not born with this, but have been stimulated by severe cold, which has caused some discomfort, Yi Hao said with a smile. Over the years, I believe you have also sought help from many experts, but they are all at a loss, aren't they? Su Guanyi looked at Yi Hao in disbelief. He always demands confidentiality from the other party when he sees a doctor, and he believes those guys won't leak it either. How did this kid know? I'll give you 1 minute. Su Guanyi remained silent for a while before saying. With the company of Shi Zhongshu, Yi Hao arrived at the old lady's side. Yi Hao stared at the old lady, then checked her pulse slightly before turning around and walking outside the door. The old lady is a complication of diabetes. Her multiple organs have failed. Even if she has a ventilator, it will not be easy to live in a few days. Yi Hao was interrupted by Su Guanyi when he said this. These experts have already demonstrated that what I want is a treatment. I can delay the old lady's life by 3 years, but you owe me one favor, Yi Hao said of his own conditions. Tell me, what do you want? I have an enemy, and I want to break his legs. I will help you handle small matters. Only then did Yi Hao enter the intensive care unit again. Lend me the silver needle again. Just take it and use it, said Shi Zhongshu, handing the silver needle package to Yi Hao. Yi Hao began to administer needles. The situation of the old lady is beyond the control of Western medicine, but ancient medicine has a magical Taoist true energy. As Taoist true energy continued to flow into the old lady's body, her exhausted organs regained vitality, and at the same time, her limbs and bones gradually gained strength. Half an hour later, Yi Hao put away the silver needle and let out a long sigh of relief in his mouth. The old lady opened her eyes at this moment. Her eyes were bright and lively, and her energy had also returned. It's really amazing. Shi Zhongshu had already seen it twice, but still felt the shock. Su Guanyi and many experts also came in. They felt unbelievable when they saw the scene before them. Shouldn't it be a resurgence? At this moment, an expert muttered. Chapter 5. Do you have money to buy a car? You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Su Guanyi gave the expert a fierce glare. To reassure you, you should check it out, Yi Hao said with a smile. Several experts conducted various examinations on the old lady, and the results of the examinations frightened them all. The old lady's various organs have all returned to normal. Various vital indicators have also returned to normal. There's no problem with the blood either. If it weren't for what I saw with my own eyes, who would believe it? Immediately, those experts surrounded Yi Hao, wanting to know how he did it. Yi Hao was too lazy to explain anything to those experts, but pushed aside the crowd and came to Su Guanyi. Mr. Su, haven't we forgotten our previous agreement? Su Guanyi handed Yi Hao a business card and said, if you encounter any trouble in the future, you can call me. Su Guanyi is very clear about the need to maintain a friendly relationship with a divine doctor like Yi Hao, and it's hard to say when it will come in handy. After collecting his business card, Yi Hao walked out of the hospital. It's time for revenge. He called Qianqian's phone number. It took a while to connect over there. Am I not clear about what I said? Qianqian's impatient voice came from the other end of the phone. Do you want your belongings in the rental room? No more. The voice of sales is beside you. Are you in the car dealership? Yeah, my baby bought me a BMW, Qianqian said arrogantly. Humph, you're not like a poor loser who can't even afford a Volkswagen. Yi Hao's lungs were about to explode when he heard this. Damn it. If I hadn't spent all my money on you, wouldn't I even be able to afford a Volkswagen? Also, I used to drive an Accord. After hanging up the phone, Yi Hao called a car and rushed towards the BMW 4S dealership. After arriving at the 4S store, Yi Hao saw Zhuang Rui bargaining with the sales team. Yi Hao, could you please have some face? Qianqian cursed loudly when she saw Yi Hao coming to her. I came to you to discuss divorce. Yi Hao originally wanted to buy a car to discuss Qianqian, but suddenly realized that he and Qianqian still have an engagement. Divorce. Qianqian's eyes suddenly lit up. He was worried that Yi Hao wouldn't agree before. That's right, divorce now. Yi Hao nodded. How about I buy a car now? How about a party? Right now. Yi Hao refused, otherwise, if you want to divorce again, just wait for me to waste time with you. Qianqian looked at Zhuang Rui in embarrassment. Zhuang Rui took Qianqian's small hand and said, Darling, you go ahead. Divorce is very simple, and it won't be long before it's done. I'll wait for you here. Good drop, baby, Qianqian said and gave Zhuang Rui a sweet kiss. The two took a taxi to the Civil Affairs Bureau. The staff of the Civil Affairs Bureau first conducted mediation, but both of them were determined to divorce. Have you divided your property situation? The staff asked as usual. He's a poor loser, what kind of property can he have? Qianqian pursed her lips. What if I have it? Yi Hao said with a smile. Just you. Qianqian sneered, if you were rich, you would still eat instant noodles all day. Yi Hao and others are like Qianqian's words. Then you can sign on this clean-out form. Sign it, sign it. Qianqian signed her name on the list. A cold smile appeared at the corner of Yi Hao's mouth. After both parties received their divorce certificates, Qianqian looked like a liberated spirit bird, humming a song in her mouth, and she looked very happy. Leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, Qianqian reached out and stopped a taxi, but unexpectedly, Yi Hao opened the car door and sat in. What are you doing? Go to the 4S store. What are you doing at the 4S store? Qianqian looked at Yi Hao in disbelief. Of course, going to a 4S store is to buy a car. Just you. Yi Hao was too lazy to say anything. On the way to the 4S store, Qianqian occasionally glanced at Yi Hao. This guy shouldn't have money, right? After arriving at the 4S store, Qianqian went straight to Zhuang Rui, who was already waiting, and said, "Baby, take a look." Zhuang Rui saw a smile on Qianqian's divorce certificate in her hand and said, "Then let's take care of the engagement right away. Listen to the baby." When the two of them were bored, Yi Hao came to a BMW 7 Series. The salesperson walked over and said, "Sir, this is the latest BMW 7 Series this year, equipped with." The salesperson was interrupted by Yi Hao, "Can you tell me how much it costs to get it?" This 7 Series car costs 1.22 million yuan as it is a top-of-the-line model, but if you place an order today, you can get a discount of 80,000 yuan. To the surprise of the salesperson, Yi Hao handed over his bank card. "Sir, are you not bargaining anymore?" The salesperson was stunned. Are the second generation of wealthy people so wealthy? No need. The salesperson excitedly invited Yi Hao to his resting place and said, "Shaoli, could you help me greet this gentleman? I'll go get the contract." Qianqian has been secretly looking at Yi Hao's side, and when he saw Yi Hao signing the contract, he couldn't help but walk over. "Do you buy a car?" Qianqian said in an uncertain tone. "Is there a problem?" Yi Hao looked at Qianqian playfully. Qianqian snatched the contract and looked at it. "Are you buying a high-end version of the BMW 7 Series? What's wrong? Do you have money?" "I won't bother you with this," Yi Hao said, snatching the contract from her hand and continuing to sign it. "I'll tell you, this guy is just a poor guy. If he can take out 10,000 from him, I'll lose." Qianqian pointed at Yi Hao and shouted. The salesperson felt a bit uneasy upon hearing this. Is Yi Hao here to entertain her? Do you see that he is wearing a famous brand? Qianqian continued without a response from Yi Hao, "What he is wearing are all cheap items bought on Pinduoduo." Yi Hao saw the salesperson's concern and said, "It's okay, you can go swipe your card now." That. I'll go take a look." The salesperson thought for a moment before getting up and leaving. "Are you still not leaving?" Qianqian drank tea and became speechless after seeing Yi Hao sign. "When they come back later, I don't know how to scold you." "I won't bother you," Yi Hao said lazily. "Baby, if he wants to lose face, let him lose face." Zhuang Rui then grabbed Qianqian into his arms. Even a poor loser deserves to buy a BMW. As soon as Zhuang Rui said this, he saw the salesperson rushing over. She held a small piece of invoice in her hand and said, "Sir, I'm really sorry, I swiped my card in advance." "It's okay," Yi Hao said, taking the bank card and invoice. "What?" Qianqian snatched the invoice from Yi Hao's hand, which clearly stated that she had swiped 1.138 million yuan. "You! How could you possibly have so much money?" "This is my business," Yi Hao smiled slightly. "Your baby bought you a BMW 3 Series, right? By the way, I think I heard it was in installments." Chapter 6. Many Small Coins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qianqian is going crazy. She didn't expect that she had just divorced Yi Hao, and this guy turned around and bought a BMW worth over 1 million yuan. She suddenly thought to herself why Yi Hao asked her to sign an agreement for leaving the house with a clean body before. Are emotions waiting for me here? Yi Hao, do you know what it means to conceal the common property between husband and wife? Qianqian asked with red eyes. She admitted that she had feelings for Zhuang Rui. After all, Zhuang Rui was her first love. But who doesn't want to marry a wealthy second generation? What if I hide it? You signed the agreement yourself, did I force you? Yi Hao looked at Qianqian's angry expression, feeling extremely happy in his heart. Do you believe me to tell you? Li Qianqian was unwilling to accept it. Welcome at any time, Yi Hao shrugged. Kid, if you're clever, give your property to Qianqian. Otherwise, I'll have someone break your legs and throw you into the sewer. Do you believe it? Zhuan Rui grabbed Yi Hao's collar and said in his ear with a hint of sadness. If it had been before, Yi Hao wouldn't have believed it. In his opinion, this is a rule of law society. But after experiencing a life simulation, he realized that there is darkness in this world that cannot be illuminated by light. I don't believe it. After slapping Zhuan Rui in the face, Yi Hao kicked him in the waist as he stumbled back. Zhuan Rui stepped back 5 or 6 meters and fell to the ground with a thud. Li Qianqian quickly went to help Zhuan Rui. Darling, how are you? Zhuan Rui looked at Yi Hao with a resentful expression in his eyes. You have guts, I'll tell you, you're done. He took out his phone and made a phone call. Brother Jean, I've been called by someone. It's not a big deal. I'm currently at a BMW 4S store on Shuri Road. After hanging up the phone, Zhuan Rui stood up with the help of Li Qianqian. If you have the guts, don't leave. Let's go. Yi Hao laughed. Does he need to leave? He hasn't been idle in the Medicine King Valley for these years. Some martial arts techniques are also taught in the Medicine King Valley. Don't even try to get close to him with 10 or 8 of them. The only thing he needs to worry about is after hitting these guys. Will he be judged as being too defensive? However, he believes that Su Guanyi can help solve this problem. In less than half an hour, a group of thugs carrying steel pipes and dyeing their hair broke into the 4S store. Which grandson hit me, Brother Rui? The leader was a young man with green hair, holding a bladed machete in his hand, pointing ahead from afar, not to mention how arrogant he was. The car salesperson at the 4S store had never seen such a battle before, so she was so scared that she dodged to the side. Third brother, it's this grandson. Zhuan Rui saw his own person coming and his expression became even more arrogant than before. The green-haired youth led a group of thugs to surround Yi Hao. Kid, you're quite crazy. The green-haired young man spat out a mouthful of thick phlegm. Li Qianqian saw that Yi Hao was silent and thought he was afraid. So she pinched her waist and called out to Yi Hao, didn't you look pretty awesome just now? Why are you so dumbfounded now? If you're interested, just hand over your hidden assets, and I can plead with them not to touch you. Impossible, Zhuan Rui said without even thinking. This grandson just slapped me and kicked me again. How could he possibly spare him? Li Qianqian quickly winked at Zhuan Rui. Zhuan Rui finally realized it. First, scam Yi Hao out of his money, and then how can he rectify it? Humph, listen to my baby. Zhuan Rui snorted coldly. Yi Hao originally wanted to beat up these guys directly, because he found that the group of thugs in front of him who broke his legs in the life simulation were the ones. But suddenly he thought of something again. Li Qianqian, I only have over 4 million left on me, Yi Hao said, opening the bank app and showing her the balance. Li Qianqian looked at the balance of over 4.6 million, and her breathing became rapid. If she had so much money, where would she need to pay in installments to buy a BMW 3 Series? What does she want to buy? Hurry up and transfer it to me, Li Qianqian said quickly. Do you know my bank account number? But what Li Qianqian didn't expect was that Yi Hao looked at the green-haired youth and said, what do you call this brother? Everyone called me Green Brother, what's wrong? Give me your bank account number. Green Brother was stunned and said, what? I'll transfer some money to you. Can you stop hitting me later? Yi Hao pretended to be afraid. Green Brother's eyes rolled and he said, it all depends on how much sincerity you have. No, this is all my money, Li Qianqian exclaimed. I'm bringing a group of brothers to help you two find a venue, even if you ask for some hard work, it won't work. Green Brother glared fiercely at Li Qianqian. Li Qianqian was frightened by Green Brother's fierce gaze and took 2 steps back. We can't let Green Brother and his brothers work hard to come, Zhuang Rui said with great insight. Since this kid took the initiative to give it, we won't have to arrange it again. Green Brother then reported his bank card to Yi Hao. Quickly, Green Brother received 1 million on his end. Green Brother was stunned. Obviously, he didn't expect Yi Hao to give him so much. Green Brother, do you think? To be honest, Green Brother wanted to give Yi Hao a profound lesson, but he voluntarily gave you 1 million yuan in hard work, and you still took action. This cannot be justified. Rui Gu, let's just forget about this matter, said Green Gu as he put away his machete. Then, without waiting for Zhuang Rui to say anything, he greeted the brothers and withdrew. Zhuang Rui is a bit confused. These animals who recognize money but not people. Of course, he was just muttering in his heart. Quickly transfer the remaining money to me, Li Qianqian said aggressively. How much is it for you? Yi Hao asked with a smile. Give it all to me. Firstly, even if it is a joint property between husband and wife, you have no reason to take it all. Secondly, let alone that we have already divorced. I just consulted with a lawyer online, and I can sue you in this situation because you intentionally deceived me into signing a net-out agreement. Then you can file a lawsuit, Yi Hao said nonchalantly. After the first trial, there is still a second trial. After the second trial, I will continue to delay. Do you think this money will still be left? You. Li Qianqian glared angrily at Yi Hao. Why didn't she notice that Yi Hao is such a grandson? I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Li Qianqian became more and more angry as she thought about it. Even her own wife is scheming. You're really not something. Li Qianqian's words made the 4S staff whisper. I'm not something. Yi Hao couldn't help but laugh when he heard this. Li Qianqian, a year ago you were seriously ill, and your ex-boyfriend left you. But you found me as a scapegoat and said you wanted to marry me. At that time, I naively and foolishly believed in you, but I didn't expect you to die soon. I sold my house and car to treat your illness, and even took care of you meticulously. Now that you're better, you tell me that we're not in love. Chapter 7. Becoming a Limp. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, if it's not love, then it's not love, right? Yi Hao then changed his voice. What have you paid for this year? Besides spending more than 1 million yuan on me, it seems like you haven't paid anything. Now that I've finally made some money, but you're licking your face and asking for my money. Can you please order your face? Yi Hao's words made the little sister at the 4S store look at Li Qianqian with disdain in her eyes. This is too shameless. She spent over 1 million yuan on her medical treatment, but now she still cares about her family's property. I have never seen such a shameless person before. Li Qianqian's face suddenly became ugly. If I marry you, I will be your wife. As a wife, I have the right to share your property. How could Li Qianqian give up a few million just because of someone else's words? Wife. Do you also have the face to say, wife? Yi Hao was angered by Li Qianqian's words. We have been married for over a year, and you don't even let me touch you. I seriously suspect that you are cheating on us. Who cheated on marriage? Why did you get married to your ex-boyfriend as soon as you recovered from cheating? Because I just realized now that we are not in a relationship, I only married you out of gratitude. In that case, please refund me the medical expenses I spent on you. Are you giving it or not? Zhuang Rui pointed at Yi Hao and said fiercely, if I can find a wave of social people, I can find 2 waves of social people. As soon as he said this, he felt a piercing pain. Originally, Yi Hao broke one of his fingers. Zhuang Rui looked at his fingers that had been bent 90 degrees and screamed in agony. Yi Hao, you're crazy. Li Qianqian shouted at Yi Hao with some heartache. What she didn't expect was that Yi Hao broke the leg of the table with his bare hands and then smashed it hard at Zhuang Rui's knee. Ah! Zhuang Rui let out a scream, and he knelt on one knee, trembling all over in pain. Li Qianqian's gaze at Yi Hao was filled with fear. Is this still the licking dog she knows who is obedient to her? She suddenly felt so unfamiliar. Zhuang Rui, this is what you owe me, Yi Hao said as he threw away the legs of the table and looked at the nearby car seller. How much does this table cost? Ah! This table doesn't cost much, said the car seller quickly. As much as you need. Yi Hao won't leave others an opportunity to attack him. He transferred 10,000 yuan to the 4S store. If it's not enough, please let me know at any time. After leaving the 4S store, Yi Hao called Su Guanyi's phone number. Mr. Su, there are 2 things I need your help with. You say. Firstly, when I was buying a car at the Shiri Road 4S dealership, I was extorted 1 million yuan by a group of thugs. This dealership has surveillance footage. If there is surveillance, it will be easy to handle. The 1 million they extorted will soon be refunded to you, and at the same time, those little thugs can sit in jail without much problem. Su Guanyi chuckled as he heard this. For him, this is not a big deal. The one calling these little thugs is a local named Zhuang Rui, and I broke his knee. So this belongs to legitimate defense, Su Guanyi thought for a moment and said, but there may be a process to follow. No problem. I'll arrange it now. Since Green Brother visited a paradise on Earth 3 months ago, he has been longing for it, but the expenses inside are not affordable for him as a little thug. I extorted 1 million from Yi Hao today, and he felt it was necessary to squander it properly. He ordered the small tender mold that his older brother ordered last time. Just as he was rushing towards the young model, the door of the room was suddenly kicked open. Don't move. Green Brother was so scared that he almost collapsed. What is the situation? Isn't this club very well established? How was it terminated? When he went out, he realized that only he and his group of brothers were taken away. It was cloudy. He suddenly realized. However, he was not too afraid either. He believed that his elder brother, Brother Jean, could save him. Jean Gu has some connections, whether it's under the sun or in the dark. So when he arrived at the interrogation room, he didn't say anything. I finally arrived at Brother Jean. Brother Jean. Jean Gu is a middle-aged man with golden glasses and a refined appearance. I will take care of your parents, Jean Gu suddenly said. Brother Jean, what do you mean? Said Green in a panic. I used a lot of connections to try to save you, but was told that a big shot was involved in this matter. Jean Gu sighed deeply. The surveillance video of the 4S store was taken very clearly, and there was also evidence such as a transfer video. They already have a complete chain of evidence, and it doesn't make sense whether you acknowledge it or not. Does that kid have such a deep background? Green Brother's eyes were about to burst out. I checked the background of that kid, and his background is very clean. I can only say you're unlucky, Jean said helplessly. Brother Jean, I'm not willing to accept it. Brother Green couldn't help but clench his fist. Don't worry, I won't let that kid get better, Jean Gus said with a cold light in his eyes. If you dare to touch my brother, I will make him pay for the bleeding. Brother Jean, don't kill him, send him in, and I will greet him every day, said Brother Green gritted his teeth. He hates Yi Hao to death. After you enter, I will move on and try to get you out as soon as possible, Jean Gu said seriously, patting Green Ji's shoulder. Don't say anything else that shouldn't be said, Jean Gu warned. Brother Jean, don't worry, I understand this. Jean Gu just turned around and left. This time he came mainly to warn Green Brother not to speak recklessly. Speaking of Zhuang Rui. Zhuang Rui was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment, but the doctor regretfully told him that his knee would never recover in his lifetime, which means he would have to rely on crutches in the future. Will she be a cripple in the future? Li Qianqian's mentality exploded when she heard this. Are you going to marry a cripple in the future? Baby, you won't mind me, will you? Zhuan Rui's heart tightened when he saw Li Qianqian's expression. How could that be? Li Qianqian comforted softly, no matter what you look like, I will be with you. In fact, she was already considering the future. At that moment, several police officers walked over. Who is Zhuan Rui? I am. Zhuan Rui asked inexplicably, do you have anything to do? He really wants to say that I haven't called the police yet to arrest Yi Hao. Why did you come? We have found that you are related to an extortion case. Come with us. Extortion case. Zhuan Rui suddenly thought of Yi Hao, and his face couldn't help but change. Did you make a mistake? No mistake, a police officer said in a low voice, let's go. Qianqian, don't worry, I'll be fine. Zhuan Rui looked at Li Qianqian with a wandering mind. Yi Hao injured my leg, and I haven't even accounted for him yet. Does he think anyone who reports to the police first can get an advantage? I'm a local, and my second uncle is in the system. Chapter 8. Intentional Framing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Zhuan Rui arrived at the police station, he started making a big fuss. You said Yi Hao broke your leg, are you referring to the person in the video? The interrogator handed him a tablet. The figure in the tablet is Yi Hao sitting on a chair. It's him, it's him, it's him. Hurry up and catch him, Zhuan Rui shouted excitedly, pointing to Yi Hao. But it's this person who accuses you of calling a group of thugs to extort and blackmail him. This is framing. Where would Zhuan Rui admit it? As a result, the interrogators switched to a video, which showed Zhuan Rui calling for someone to kill Yi Hao. Are you familiar with it? Zhuan Rui opened his mouth to say something, but ultimately chose to remain silent. The other party switched to another video, in which Zhuan Rui approached the group of thugs and greeted them, saying that they wanted to teach Yi Hao a lesson. Is there anything I want to say? My second uncle is the deputy director of the Qianqian police station, Zhuan Rui said as he saw the situation getting out of control. I advise you to recognize the facts and not involve unrelated people, the other person warned. Unfortunately, Zhuan Rui didn't understand. My second uncle has a good relationship with your bureau chief. Please answer my question seriously. I asked if you could not go online on the platform. Zhuan Rui looked at the other person dissatisfied. My second uncle will come later, and you still have to let me go. Zhuan Rui still hasn't figured out the situation. He thought today's incident was like a fight. 2 hours later, Zhuan Rui finally met his second uncle. Second uncle, why did you come? Zhuan Rui sniffed with a hint of complaint in his tone. What do you think I've been doing these 2 hours? I'm learning about the process of the case and its relationship. Zhuan Rui's second uncle's eyes were gloomy and somewhat frightening. The evidence this time is very strong, and your imprisonment is destined. What? Zhuan Rui exclaimed in surprise, that kid still broke my leg. Firstly, I couldn't find any video of breaking your leg, secondly, there were no relevant witnesses. How could it be? Zhuan Rui was stunned. I have a video of calling out, little thug, but not a video of my grandson hitting me. The 4S store said that the memory card is full and the subsequent video was not recorded. Didn't the video automatically overwrite the previous one? The fact is there is no relevant video. The plan for now is to have that kid provide you with a letter of understanding, so that the court will consider reducing the sentence accordingly. Do you still have to go to jail for issuing a letter of understanding? Zhuan Rui stared at his second uncle in amazement. Are you aware that this is a criminal offense? Zhuan Rui was completely panicked. Second uncle, if sentenced, how long will I be sentenced? The long term is 7 or 8 years, and the short term is 3 or 5 years. Second uncle, you must help me. After completing his transcript at the police station, Yi Hao left and walked towards Zhuang Rui's second uncle. Chat. Are you? I am Li Bin, Zhuang Rui's uncle. I don't think we have much to talk about between us. I have checked your relationship and you don't have any background in the local area. Li Bin candidly looked at Yi Hao. And the reason why this matter has caused so much trouble is just that one of the leaders above happened to pay attention. Upon hearing this, Yi Hao realized that Li Bin's social relationships were limited, and he had no idea that the mastermind behind the scenes was Su Guangyi. Let's get straight to the topic. Yi Hao was too lazy to wander around with Li Bin. Provide Zhuang Rui with a letter of understanding. What if I don't come out? Over the years, I have seen many thorns. Guess what happened? Li Bin said with a smile on his face. In the end, they obediently compromised. I'm a tough guy, I have to give it a try. Yi Hao smiled at the other person's cold eyes. Young people, having a spirit of not giving up is good, but society will tell you what cruelty is. Li Bin patted Yi Hao's shoulder and turned to leave. Yi Hao looked at Li Bin's back with a hint of coldness in his eyes. I want to see how cruel it is. I want to do a life simulation. This simulation requires 256 Chinese coins, please confirm with the host. The sound of the system rang in his mind. Confirm. The host was packing up in the rental room this evening when a girl broke in. The girl tore at her clothes and had a conflict with the host. When the police arrived, the girl said that the host wanted to defile her, but the host was speechless. Su Guangyi used his connections to rescue the host, which also exposed his relationship with the host. Su Guangyi was heavily invested by Jin San to acquire a problematic piece of land. After that, Su Guangyi's funding chain encountered problems and he was colluded internally and externally, resulting in a staggering imprisonment. The host swore to avenge Su Guangyi. He used his superb medical skills to make friends with the upper class and ultimately sent Jin San to prison. The host then went to visit Master Huang Wenxuan. After communicating with him, Master Huang Wenxuan was shocked and sent the host to the Medicine King Cave. The host devoted himself to practicing in the Medicine King Cave for many years, and reached the third stage of enlightenment in medical cultivation. He died suddenly at the age of 55. Seeing this, Yi Hao was moved. He didn't expect to harm Su Guangyi. Fortunately, all of this has not happened yet. Furthermore, he found that as his medical cultivation improved, his longevity also increased, which is also good news. Firstly, the host chooses their life experience at the age of 55. Secondly, the host chooses wealth at the age of 55. Without hesitation, Yi Hao chose his life experience at the age of 55, and countless memories flooded into his mind. At the same time, his true energy also doubled. The elder of the outer gate of the Medicine King Cave once said that only after breaking through the realm of enlightenment can one be qualified to enter the inner gate of the Medicine King Cave. Yi Hao had an impulse to simulate it again. However, he also knows that he cannot simulate it casually, otherwise it will reach a point where he cannot afford it later on. He first rushed to the hospital to see his father's condition. But I saw Li Qianqian in the ward. Li Qianqian is peeling apples for her father, which looks very virtuous. Why are you here? Yi Hao asked with a dark face. I'm your wife, why can't I be here? Li Qianqian said with a smile. Let's. Li Qianqian interrupted Yi Hao as soon as he said this, our father has just recovered from a serious illness, so don't let him worry. Yi Hao also felt that it was not appropriate to tell his father about their divorce at this time. At this moment, Yi Yumei walked over with a pot of hot water. Sister, your health is also not good, so don't run around. Just leave these small things to me. Li Qianqian pulled Yi Yumei down. Yi Yumei's face showed a hint of unnatural expression. Because in her memory, Li Qianqian had a proud expression and was indifferent to her. Did you take any medicine today? Chapter 9. Li Qianqian's careful thoughts. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Li Qianqian, come out for me. Yi Hao couldn't bear to watch anymore, and she pulled Li Qianqian towards the outside. Outside the ward, Yi Haosong opened up Li Qianqian and said, "What do you want to do?" "My dad is sick, can I not come and take care of him?" Li Qianqian rubbed her arm and said coquettishly, "You've swollen me. We have already divorced, we have no relationship anymore, understand?" Yi Hao didn't expect Li Qianqian to give him this one. Divorced and unable to remarry. Moreover, our father needs someone to take care of him now. Li Qianqian's expression was extremely serious. Sister now has a second treasure, can you bear her to serve here? I will hire a caregiver. Where do caregivers take care of themselves? Li Qianqian suddenly thought of something. It seems like the intravenous drip is almost finished, I'll go take a look. After that, she hurriedly walked towards the ward. If those who don't know still think she's such a virtuous daughter. Lol. Not long after, Yi Yume walked out of the ward. What's wrong with Li Qianqian? I divorced her this morning. Divorce. Their first love boyfriend has returned. As Yi Hao spoke, Yi Yume was so angry that she trembled all over. But soon she thought of something. Since she divorced you, now. I won over 5 million yuan in the lottery yesterday. Yi Hao can't say he got a system. No wonder. Yi Yume suddenly realized, so what are you going to do? I won't give her a single penny of this money anyway, Yi Hao suddenly realized. Isn't Li Qianqian trying to show herself? Just give her a chance. But now. If she wants to perform, let her perform. If she wants to work, let her work, Yi Hao said with a smile. After returning to the ward, the two of them looked at Li Qianqian's busy schedule and felt inexplicably amused. Yi Bingkuan saw that his daughter. Law seemed to have changed her personality, and a long-lost smile appeared on his face. You two should be fine in the future. Yi Bingkuan held Yi Hao's hand, his eyes shining brightly. Yi Hao stayed in the ward for a while before leaving. He dialed Su Guanyi's phone outside. I want to see you. You come to Su's real estate group, I'll have my secretary wait for you in the lobby. Half an hour later, Yi Hao arrived at Su's real estate company. As soon as I arrived at the gate, I was stopped by the security guard. Please present your work permit. I'm here to find Su Guanyi. Upon hearing the three words Su Guanyi, the security guard was stunned. Because Yi Hao's attire is very ordinary and cheap. Is this guy looking for the general manager of Su's real estate company? Do you have an appointment? Mr. Su said he will send his secretary to pick me up. The security guard rolled over Yi Hao. Damn it. Do you think you are some big shot? It's worth having Mr. Su's secretary personally welcome you. Then you can wait here for Mr. Su's secretary to come, the security guard said calmly. When Yi Hao took out his phone and was about to call Su Guanyi again, a surprised voice rang in his ear. Yi Hao. Yi Hao was stunned as he looked at a young man in a suit and leather shoes in front of him. Zhang Chao. Zhang Chao is his roommate. However, this person dislikes poverty and loves wealth, so they don't play with him much. Yeah, why are you here? When Yi Hao was about to say something, Zhang Chao seemed to have guessed, do you want to come and see Su's real estate group? I have this idea. Did Yi Hao tell Zhang Chao that he came to see Su Guanyi? Isn't that hurting someone's self-esteem? As for people, they need to be down to earth and not aim too high. Zhang Chaoyu said with a long focus, I can take you inside, but so what? Can you satisfy your so-called vanity by taking a few photos? What position do you hold in Su's real estate company? Yi Hao asked with a smile. Assistant director. Do those who don't know think you're the director? What do you mean? Zhang Chao heard the strange tone in Yi Hao's words at this moment. Su Guanyi's secretary, Gao Yi, ran over for a while and said, "Mr. Yi, I was in a hurry just now and went to the restroom. I'm really sorry, you didn't wait for me." Gao Yi has witnessed Yi Hao's methods, and he is well aware of the importance of Yi Hao to Su Guanyi. "Gao Mi." Zhang Chao was stunned. "What are you calling him?" "Mr. Yi, he is Mr. Su's distinguished guest." Gao Yi quickly asked the security guard to open the access control. "Let Mr. Yi in soon." The security guard was startled and quickly opened the access control. He lowered his head, afraid that Yi Hao would cause trouble. Zhang Chao's whole person is not doing well. What is the situation? Is Yi Hao a valued guest of Su Guanyi? That means I just offended this master myself. Gao Yi led Yi Hao all the way to Su Guanyi's office. Su Guanyi's office is on the 9th floor, with a large room area of over 200 square meters. Su Guanyi gestured for Yi Hao to take his seat. "Is there anything I need to do?" Su Guanyi was very clear that Yi Hao would not come to him for no reason. "Someone is going to frame me tonight." Upon hearing this, Su Guanyi looked at Yi Hao in disbelief and said, "Speak more clearly." "When I came out of the police station today, I ran into Zhuang Rui's second uncle Li Bin." "That means it's just your guess." "I can foresee some things in the future," Yi Hao gave a reason. Su Guanyi's pupils tightened sharply and he said, "Can you deduce the future?" Inferring not only consumes mental energy, but also lifespan. Yi Hao said this sentence to lay the groundwork for the future. He was worried that Su Guanyi might not be able to make him deduce. After pondering for a while, Su Guanyi said, "What did you recommend for the performance?" "I recommend that there is a girl tonight. It's easy to know what they're doing. So, I'll send someone to buy a few cameras, and tonight we'll be waiting for them." In the evening, Yi Hao returned to his rental house following the process of his life simulation. Just as he was packing his things, there was a knocking sound outside. A cold smile appeared at the corner of Yi Hao's mouth. "Still coming." He opened the door of the room and looked at a pretty girl standing outside. "Who are you looking for?" "I'm looking for you," the girl said as she turned over to Yi Hao. Normally, Yi Hao should be supported so that she can proceed to the next step. But Yi Hao took a few steps back and dodged. "Miss, I don't know you. Please go out," Yi Hao said sternly. "Kid, don't blame sister. You can only blame someone who shouldn't have offended you," the girl said and began tearing at her clothes. "Miss, if you keep doing this, I'll call the police." Yi Hao stepped back as he tried to get his phone from the table. "Report to the police. You go report to the police. Do they believe you or me?" The girl looked at Yi Hao with a hint of mockery and pity in her eyes. But then she rushed towards Yi Hao again. She needs to have physical contact with Yi Hao, otherwise how can she frame a crime? Yi Hao retreated while shifting blame. After a while, the girl shouted at the top of her throat, "Help, we have annihilated." Chapter 10. I have evidence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soon, many men and women from the apartment rushed over. When they saw the girl with disheveled hair and messy clothes, they almost instinctively believed her words. "Release her. Hurry up and call the police. Doing such things in broad daylight is really not afraid of death. You threw yourself at me, okay?" Yi Hao raised his hands high at this moment. "The eyes of the masses are bright. Can it be that I splashed myself with dirty water?" the girl cried and said. "This guy looks sleazy, probably because he thinks she's pretty and wants to ruin her." "Sister, don't be afraid, everyone is here." "Who has a phone? Hurry up and call the police." The young men and women present were filled with righteous indignation and surrounded Yi Hao in groups. Quickly, 3 police officers arrived here. "Who can report to the police?" A police officer cleared the crowd and asked in a deep voice. "I called the police," a quiet girl with glasses raised her phone. "Did you say someone forcibly annihilated?" the police officer asked. "That's him," Song Yuzhu pointed at Yi Hao and shouted. Please come with us, the police officer approached Yi Hao. Can I have a word? Yi Hao said softly. Of course. Just 5 minutes ago, I heard someone knocking on the door, and when I opened the door, she rushed towards me. I quickly stepped aside, but this person tore at her own clothes and shouted Qianqian at the top of her voice. Yi Hao briefly recounted the story. Police uncle, don't listen to him talk nonsense, the girl said, her eyes turning red. When I passed by his door, he suddenly opened the door and pulled me into his room, acting against me. If it weren't for my desperate shouting to attract everyone to come, he would probably have succeeded. I have no grudges or grievances with you, why did you frame me? Yi Hao asked seriously. I don't know what you're talking about, the girl said, tears streaming down her face, which looked pitiful. Just then, several more police officers walked over. Are you, the police officer here asked in surprise. We are from the city bureau and happened to pass by here, a police officer led by pretended to be casual and asked, you have encountered a case. Encountered a case of molestation. The local police nodded. Police uncle, I have evidence to prove my innocence, Yi Hao shouted loudly at this moment. What evidence? The police from the city bureau asked curiously. This girl said I had ulterior motives towards her, but as someone who lacks a sense of security, I installed a camera indoors. Yi Hao said, and the girl's face suddenly became unnatural. Just open my computer and you'll know what happened just now, Yi Hao continued. In this way, we will take your camera and computer away. The police officer in this area blinked their eyes and then ordered his subordinates to enter Yi Hao's room. The police from the city bureau are here, let's watch here. Yi Hao was well aware that once these pieces of evidence were taken away by the local authorities, there would be nothing left. I think what this little brother said makes sense. The neighbors present today all think he is a strong fighter. If he can't prove his innocence in time, his reputation will also be bad. The police officer from the city bureau said this and his voice changed. Little brother, where is the video? Please follow me, Yi Hao quickly said. As soon as he arrived at the door, Yi Hao shouted again, also, please control that woman. Don't worry, the law won't wrongly accuse a good person, nor will it spare a bad person, said a police officer from the city bureau with a solemn expression. After arriving in the room, Yi Hao skillfully turned on the computer and opened the surveillance video of the room through it. In the video, it is clear that the girl broke into Yi Hao's room by herself, and it was also she who tore her clothes and framed Yi Hao. At this point, many neighbors also saw the content of the video. Is it really framing? In the video, I heard the girl say that this kid has offended someone who shouldn't have offended. It seems like this is seeking revenge. This girl looks quite innocent, why is she so dirty when it comes to doing things? At this moment, Yi Hao called on his neighbors to record the video he had taken. Dear neighbors, if I have been treated unfairly, please send out this video. I would like to express my gratitude to everyone here. So the neighbors present all started recording with their phones. At this moment, the police in this area looked a bit ugly, realizing that the mission was about to fail. The girl wanted to escape, but was held down. I just gave you a chance, but unfortunately you don't cherish it, Yi Hao said calmly as he approached her. I was forced, the girl said with a bitter expression on her face. Being forced is not a reason for you to harm others, Yi Hao showed no mercy towards her. If he didn't have a video today, he wouldn't be able to explain it clearly. The girl was quickly taken away by the police. Song Yuzhu realized that she had falsely accused Yi Hao, so she apologized apologetically to Yi Hao, I'm really sorry, I didn't know you were wrongly accused. Use your brain next time. Are you saying I don't have enough brain? Song Yuzhu looked at Yi Hao angrily. Do I need to molest such a handsome young man like me? Are you obviously average, okay? What, did I say the wrong thing? You must not be doing well in the workplace. How do you know? Song Yuzhu was surprised. Yi Hao glanced at him and turned around to close the door. He continued to pack his things. At the same time, he is also considering whether to buy a house or not. When he thought of Qianqian, he thought it was better to wait. After all, what should Qianqian do if she kicks in again after buying a house? Just then the door knocked. After opening the door, I found that it was Song Yuzhu who reported to the police and arrested him. What's up? Can you lend me 1,000 yuan? Song Yuzhu said, tears of sweat streaming down her face. Yi Hao looked at her waxy yellow face and said, "Are you sick?" We don't seem to be very familiar with each other, do we? I'll pay you back in a couple of days. Why don't you borrow from your colleagues? Song Yuzhu opened her mouth, unsure of what to say. Yi Hao suddenly realized that her relationship with her colleagues was probably not good. Forget it, add me on WeChat and I'll transfer it to you. Song Yuzhu quickly added Yi Hao's WeChat account. When she saw the 3,000 yuan turned around, she was stunned and said, "How did you transfer 3,000 yuan to me? You have acute appendicitis, do you think 1,000 is enough?" Don't forget that Yi Hao is a divine doctor, he can see through her condition at a glance. Acute appendicitis. Should I be hospitalized? Aren't you talking nonsense? You'll have to undergo surgery to cut it off. Isn't that delaying work? Song Yuzhu said, her eyes turning red. Does she still expect to pay her brother's living expenses? The body is the capital of revolution, Yi Hao shook his head. Let's put aside work for now. Song Yuzhu was about to say something when her phone rang. You dead girl, your younger brother doesn't even have any living expenses, why don't you give him money? A voice of cursing came from over there. The salary will only be paid in 2 days, Song Yuzhu timidly said, holding the microphone. Aren't you going to ask the boss for advance payment? It's useless. If you're starving your brother, I'll tear you apart.